motion. So an object remains in a state of rest or in a state of uniform motion in a straight line unless compelled to change that state by an applied force. So here it states that if a body is moving, then it will only stop until and unless an external force is applied. So here let us take an example of a moving car. Let us assume that we are sitting in this moving car and it suddenly stops. When it suddenly stops, we see that we tend to fall in the forward direction. That is why we have seat belts to protect ourselves from accident. So this is an example of inertia of motion. Now let us assume that we are sitting in a car that is at rest. Now if that car suddenly starts to move, then we tend to move in the backward direction. This is inertia of rest. Now moving on to the second law. Second law of motion states that the rate of change of momentum of an object is proportional to applied unbalanced force in the direction of force. It is saying that force is equals to change in momentum. Momentum is represented by P upon change in time. Here delta represents the change. Now let us assume that there is a bicycle. Firstly, it starts with a velocity u, and then it is moving, and at a point its velocity is v. So here the change of momentum will be equals to m into, this is the final momentum, minus initial momentum upon time. Now taking mass as common, v minus u upon t. Now this change in velocity upon time represents acceleration, which is equals to ma. So force is equals to ma can also be written through this second law of motion. Now moving on to the third law. Third law of motion states that every action have an equal and opposite reaction. So in this, let us take an example. If we throw a ball on a ground, then it exerts a force on the ground, and the ground exerts an equal and opposite force on that ball. So it moves in the upward direction again. So this is the example of third law of motion.